Okay. Oh. Okay, so welcome everyone. It is 5:31 p.m. Today is Thursday, May 27th, 2021. This is the Central Falls Board of Trustees meeting, monthly meeting. And my name is Sonia Grace. I'm the vice chair leading the meeting today. I'll do roll call. And I believe both Hugo Figueroa and Diosa Martinez will be joining us, but we have quorum. So let's just move forward to respect everybody's time. It's a holiday weekend. Andrew Branson. Andrew, can you say it out again?
Present.
Glendalis Colon. Try again, Glendalis.
Present.
Thank you. Brian Estrada.
Present.
Okay, thank you. And I'm Sonia Grace. As I said, we have quorum and hopefully Hugo and Diosa will join us. We'll just move on right into the agenda. The next item, the first item of business to deal with is a consideration of meeting minutes of April 1st. I believe you all had it in your packet, and I'll entertain a motion to accept. Actually, we don't, right? What did we decide to do?
For the minutes, there's still.
Okay.
We need to do a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Moved by Glendalis Colon. Is there a second? Was that you,
Second.
Brian? Okay,
Yes.
Brian. Second by Brian Estrada. Any questions, discussion, comments? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, I'm an aye as well, so the minutes are approved as written. Thank you. The next item is consideration of personal actions, including new appointments, layoffs, rescissions, resignations, recalls, and retirement. And again, you had in your packet a board memo that was submitted by Patricia Martinez, the Chief of Human Capital and Community Development. And I'll read the names. We have two new hires, Sarosha Hemani, I believe I'm saying that correctly, hopefully. If not, my apologies. And Charles Fisher. Layoffs, Joan Morris. Retirements, Marlene Montano, Donna Gattinella, and Cynthia Sakal. And then resignations, Vincent Palladino, Michaela Laughlin, Broderick Topol. Is that correct? Todd Lee and Christian Montoya. So I would accept a motion to approve this, to accept. Actually, we're just going to accept it. We're just going to discuss it because we can't approve these. This is the one where we just talk about it. But Superintendent, if you could just give us an overview of what's in this memo and what we are acting on.
Absolutely. And just in case anyone didn't catch, there's one more name on page 2, Jasmine Acevedo, who was a wonderful,
Yes.
no problem. So thank you all for restructuring your calendars actually to have the meeting today instead of the first Thursday of the month. The goal of doing that was to have as few layoffs as possible. So we're actually really pleased that we were able to get down to one, because as folks probably know and recall, June 1st is a really critical date in the state of Rhode Island where you would need to notify any teachers who are being laid off. And so a lot has been happening in the last month. And so we were able to not have to lay off as many people because we are creating new roles such that only one educator is being laid off. And actually, she was in a unique role where she was a TA with us previously, stepped into a teaching role with an emergency certification when there was a real need during the pandemic. And so she'll actually stay on Team CFSD and return to her TA role, but is considering also the Warrior Fellows and other ways to officially get her certification. So while her name is on the layoff, it's a unique situation where she's being laid off from her teaching role, but still on the team. So we're really happy about that. Also,
hold on. I'm so sorry because I forgot to announce the interpreter. So in case, because what you're saying is important in case somebody needs it. And the other thing is, if we could pull, I see Hugo Figueroa's name on the attendee list. If we can pull him in, to the meeting, please? And so then I'll announce it in Portuguese that we have interpreted. If one of my colleagues could announce it in Spanish, I'd appreciate it. Para quem precisar intérprete em português, tem um botão embaixo que diz interpretação. Se clicar nele, tem a escolha de inglês ou português. Outra vez, para quem quiser intérprete de português, no abaixo do ecrã diz interpretation e escolha inglês ou português, o que precisar. Somebody could do that for me in Spanish, I'd appreciate it.
Very well. Thank you for letting me.
Seria muito.
Could you announce the interpretation since your thing is on?
What did you just say?
Can you announce that we have interpretation in Spanish, please?
Okay.
Your microphone.
Para los que están en el chat, tenemos una interpretación para español, así que pueden dar clic ahí en el enlace de español. Okay.
Thank you so much and welcome. And if we could have the record show that Figueroa joined the meeting at 5:37 p.m. Appreciate it. Thank you. Superintendent, sorry, continue.
No, so any questions about that very unique layoff situation before I talk about some of the other pieces? Okay, it's overall very exciting that everyone's staying on the team. And huge thanks to Assistant Superintendent Lynch and Union President Tracy Kavanaugh, who have done a ton of work to make all of that possible. The two new hires are folks who have already been working at the high school. So that's really exciting. And kudos to the whole high school team. Opportunities like student teaching are such a great way to introduce people starting out in their careers to our incredible students and our incredible district. And so both of those folks, Sarosha and Charles, have been at the high school and student teaching there, and they have accepted positions for next year. So we're thrilled about that. And then just want to say a huge and heartfelt thank you to Marlene and Donna and Cynthia for all of their service to the Central Falls School District. Marlene's last day is actually tomorrow. We will miss her very much as she has supported countless families in the process around attendance and the importance of attendance. And we're just so grateful for her. Donna and Cynthia will finish out the year. So thankfully we get another month with them. And then our resignations, I do want to thank all of those individuals. The reason is not that they are staying in Rhode Island and are not going to be here. They're all relocating. And so as a result, will no longer be on Team CFSD in the future, but thank them so much for their contributions and time to our district.
I have a question, Superintendent. So by the looks of it, for CF High, that looks like a big part of the math team. So I'm wondering what does the future of math teachers in general or math at the high school look like now that 3 of the teachers are leaving, one of which is a special education math teacher?
Yes, and to make the problem sort of even heavier, I would note that the 2 new hires are both science. So there is a lot of transition on in our secondary math and science, which we know is also a trend nationally, not unique to CF, and those are real shortage areas. And so what does it mean? It means we are going to miss a lot of these folks, but we are also committed to quite a few different pipeline opportunities, and big shout out to Principal McCarthy, who has been really intentional about early recruitment and like I gave the example of the student teachers. So we're hopeful, but I do have to acknowledge that almost all of those resignations, all the teacher resignations, are folks who came to us through Teach for America. So that's always a pro and a con, that we can often fill really high shortage areas quickly with that partnership, but it also means that after 2 or 3 years, many do decide to transition. And so we are talking to a lot of other organizations that do similar work, but with longer term commitments to try to stop the continuous cycle of 2-year turnover, although totally acknowledge that many people do stay longer. So but that I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that that is a big part, I think, of the transition. And most of them have shared beautiful, heartfelt letters of how much they've fallen in love with the community of CF, but are moving back to closer to family, especially after this pandemic year.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, so we do need a vote on the layoff officially or not?
I believe the board memo as a whole now is more of an informational
Yeah.
document.
So we're okay, even though you have that layoff there? Okay. All right, so then the record will show that we've accepted it. There are no other questions. We'll move on then. All right, so item 4 is the Central Falls School District budget. A is consideration of bills, grants, and general budget, and B is FY21 budget review, update and discussions. I was not able to review the bills this month. So we have 2 options. We can table it to next month, and Superintendent, you can tell us what that would do to your process, or we can approve it pending my review with the board saying that if I don't see
Minha
anything,
revisão, se eu acho que devemos
wasn't able to get to the district this past 2 days.
The latter would be preferable. Carrie, please say if you believe otherwise, but I think that would be preferred. I have reviewed them and there was no expenses that were sort of out of the ordinary. So I feel comfortable with the latter if everyone else does.
The last 2 days were kind of difficult for me. I apologize. Okay, so then if the board is okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the bills, the packet of bills pending my review, which I will do tomorrow if that's okay. And then we'll stay on track.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Cornelius Colon and second by Andrew Bramson. Questions, comments, anyone? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so I'm an aye as well. So I will stop by first thing tomorrow so that we stay on track with the calendar there.
And always
Thank
happy
you.
to scan them over if that's easier. Just let us. know.
Yeah, it actually isn't because of the way, because I have to sign the first page and the backup is before. So I end up just spending more time back and forth on a PDF document than it is to just open it. So for this one, paper printout actually makes it go faster. So I'll just do that first thing tomorrow morning. Next one, FY21 budget review update and discussion. Director Simmons, are you speaking?
I am
We
here.
have him? Okay.
We'll share my screen here.
While you're pulling that up, Acting Chair Grace, board members, CF community and friends. And I want to give an update on the finance team. We actually had an upgrade. We welcomed on board Tatiana Baina as the Director of Grants and Federal Programs. She took over where Juan left off, and I am expecting great things. So it's a positive for the team. It's a positive for the CF community, and we're looking forward to her expertise and that she brings, one, as a member of the community, secondly, and not limited to the fact that she has a degree in accounting. She's worked on multiple levels at the state, citywide, and so we're just looking forward to getting the nutrients and the nuggets that she has to offer the department as well as the community at large. Also on the team is Manny Ray, who's been on the team for a while. That's our accountant. Sandra Gamal is still in payroll, and Sue Garvey is in accounts payable. So to move through this expeditiously, let's get going. Our revenue This is not a new slide, but just so that you all know, it is consistent regarding what we projected. You can see the catch-up amount that came in the months of January through February. That's around the time that the state finance, House Finance approved the budget for Rhode Island in general. And so we were able to receive an official budget at that time. So we're steadily receiving about $3.8 million a month. There's been no hiccups in our cash flow. So I'm grateful for that. We're actually in the best fiscal position that I've seen. I want to say, the end of maybe 2 years ago. So I've been able to see the cycle. This is the third time, albeit it's not been 3 years. We are in a great position to end off this year paying our bills on time, which makes happy vendors, better business relations, and it allows the district to have full functional operations. So with the revenue, as I know, Andrew asked a lot of times, is there any cash flow hiccups? Do I see any problems with our current operations? And the answer as of right now is no. So next slide, please. So while our revenue has been consistent, obviously coming back into the district, which we're also grateful for, it does bring on additional costs, right? Well worth costs, but the fact of the matter, it does bring on additional costs. So you can see throughout this chart, and I'll slow down a bit in terms of moving on, but you can see where our expenditures increase. It naturally will increase in salaries because the months of April, May, and June are some of our higher months as we begin to sunset the year, and it has a larger number of payrolls within those months, as well as summer pays are paid out in the month or expended in the month of June, even though the teachers receive them, some of them choose to receive them throughout the summer. You could also see that our property services, albeit some bit low, it has increased because we have additional electricity being used in the building, just the different things just to make sure that we have full-time, a full-time service of our students, no longer distance learning. Sorry about that, no longer distance learning. So while our revenue has been consistent, again, our expenditures have increased. Nonetheless, I still see the fact that it's looking as if we will end off this year with a balanced budget and possibly able to contribute to our fund balance. And that would be the second year in a row, not having to dip into it. So I appreciate all the directors, all the teachers, as well as the administrators who have made the sacrifice to kind of hold fast, hold tight, so that coming into this upcoming year, which is what I was hoping for, would have more money at our disposal, not for ourselves, not for hiring fat, but to give resources needed back to the kids. Next slide, please. So, speaking about resources given back to our students, what you're seeing in front of you is our projection for FY22. So in FY21, which is this current year, we know that we did not have a budget at the beginning of the year. We were kind of left in limbo. The board voted down the budget that was given because it represented a deficit, albeit not true, but we didn't know what we had in hand, right? So as of right now, with the governor's recommended aid, this is how the budget is built right now. And I worked with RIDE Finance to basically say, the governor's recommending that we need about $48 million. I'm saying we need $48 million. Here's how it's going to be spent. And so this is the breakdown of that $48 million. Now that $48 million, just to give context to it, it's about 1.5 to 2 million more than the district has received ever. So what I'm talking about when I have blew out this budget is basically saying, if the state decides, and we hope that they decide to give us this type of funding, we will be able to pump more teachers back into the district, have more curriculum at hand back in the district, you know, make sure that there's complete HVAC work, you know, sanitation is there, supplies are there, not just sanitary supplies, but whatever, it could be art supplies or whatever the teachers are looking for. You're talking about having an additional $2 million of resources. Now that runs out kind of quick if you stuff it with salaries, which is what we're not trying to do. But what we're saying is we do have a usage for the funding. So basically I built the budget to say every dollar that you're willing to give us, we have a use for it. Next slide. And last slide. So here are our key takeaways from FY21 through FY22. As I said, but just to recap, we're on schedule this year to have a balanced budget, possibly an add-on to the district. We've been fortunate and with COVID, not with COVID, but the actual funds that are attributed to COVID to receive from the state $1.8 million in relief funds. The ESSA Care Act won $1.5 million, and most of that has just gone to, again, sanitation. And I'll give a breakdown next month of the actual categorization of the breakdown. And we recently received another ESSER set aside of $280,000 that other districts weren't using. RIDE basically said to the superintendent, hey, we have this additional funding if you all can use it. So we are on their radar. We are in a good position. And I just want to communicate that, that back to the board. We're slated to receive $47 million within the operating budget for FY22, as well as some additional funding through the through different ESSER funding, ESSER 2, ESSER 3. You can see on the screen, $6.7 million that extends through FY23, an additional $15.2, which extends through FY24. I will not touch that. That's part of the superintendent's presentation a little bit later on. And so looking towards the June board meeting, I just want to talk about the fiscal accomplishments of the year and the challenges that we had. In the accomplishments, again, you'll have the breakdown of how we use some of that CARES funding. Internally, just so that the district knows and the community knows, in the month of June, right now, or coming up, we begin to sunset our operations. It's not just the students, but we close out our business dealings in the month of July and August. We prepare, and then we have our audit, which actually happens in, like, I want to say the second week of August, and that extends through September. So in closing, I just want to say I think we're in a good place, a great place fiscally. And I just appreciate the support that the board's given throughout the year, as well as, again, you know, internal operations has exerted their support for the department. And so with that, I want to thank you for your time. If there are any questions, I'm willing to answer.
Any questions, comments from the board? Go ahead, Andrew.
Thanks, Carrie. Great presentation. The ESSER funds that you referenced in 22, and I don't want to, if this tails into the superintendent's presentation, that's fine. How restricted are those funds in terms of what they can be used for? I mean, I know that a lot of the CARES Act money at the front end was quite restricted. What can you tell us about, or what do you know, even if there's guidance out yet, about how restricted those funds are going to be when it comes to 22? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I do know that that is part of the superintendent's presentation. And I did take a quick look. I believe she'll go through what they can be used for. What I can say is that there is a great amount of flexibility with it. Even the original ESSER, while they had categories that it was restricted to, they did give us an other category if we needed really to utilize it for district operations.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Just,
Go ahead, Hugo.
I don't know if I misunderstood. So you mentioned that you applied for additional $2 million, or we got 2 million? I don't know if I heard that. You mentioned additional $2 million.
I mean, $2 million. Oh, I know what you're referring to. You're referring to the state aid. So basically what I'm saying is, as they do the what is it, the school, not the school level allocation, but the funding for each district. This year coming up, we are set to receive more than we've ever received. And that's about $2 million more than the district has ever received. So what I'm basically saying is RIDE is actually giving back to CF more than they ever have.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Well, I just want to say thank you for the work. I look forward to June's meeting as we have the like closeout of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
But this has definitely been a challenging year, and I don't want to underestimate the amount of work that took to have all of these funds come in, put them to use as quickly as everyone did, and end the year in this way. This is really a lot of work, and it's appreciated, and I hope that both you and your team know that. This is a good place. It's good news to hear how we're ending the fiscal year, and how we're going to start the next year. So we can wrap it up, which would be an interesting conversation. I think we haven't done that really in that way consistently, to finish the year with a recap, and probably get a little bit more information through you and the superintendent as these funds come in, of how they're going to be used and how we're going to be using them over the next year. So looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, talking about like how they're going to be used. Is there, I guess, now that we've had pretty much a year of this, right? Is there any kind of self-eval that y'all have thought about in regards to like, we should now like we maybe misspent this, or we could have spent this somewhere else, that you'll be doing in order to make sure that all the money is being allocated in the right places for next year?
Well, for this year, that there has not been that evaluation, but what I can definitely say for this year, because the district did not have the technology that it needed, 80 to 90% of it was spent on Chromebooks or HVAC work to make sure that the students could come into a safe environment, or that they had what they needed at home. So it was not like spent just on anything frivolous. I can say that without even looking at line by line item. I can remember the purchase orders that we put through. So 90% of them are technology based or HVAC work to make sure our students are safe.
Yeah, and I'll share more when we're in the superintendent's update, but I can also just share that we have done an after action review, if you will, amongst anyone who was sort of informing how those funds were spent. So all of our school leaders and directors, with the new categories that are allowed under ESSER 2, to sort of say, okay, based on how we used the CARES Act money and these earlier funds, what do we need to keep maintaining? What would we not want to put funds into anymore? And now with some of the new allowables, where do you think we need to invest? And so that's just a preliminary, but what is exciting is a lot of the work we're planning to bring families, parents, students, teachers, faculty, like everyone into those conversations through our school-based teams in the weeks ahead.
Cool, awesome, thank you.
So we'll go back to that. Thank you, Director Simmons. We'll move on to the next item. It's item 5. And I'll go back to to the personnel at the end of this, superintendent. So we do have to go back and vote everyone. So we'll go back to doing that in a second. But just to keep going with the agenda, item 5 is old business. We had a first reading of the gender inclusive bathroom policy. This is second read for today. So there are a few points to that policy. And there is a question that I had brought up to the superintendent a little bit earlier that would like to clarify before we move forward. But to get started on the discussion, why don't we go and submit, if anyone could introduce a motion to approve, then we can get into discussion.
Motion to approve the policy as presented.
Is there a
Second.
second? Okay, so it's moved by Andrew Bramson, second by Brian Estrada. So the policy as it's written says that beginning this year, we are going to have at least one single-use toilet facility in the buildings, in our school buildings. My question to the superintendent was paragraph B. That was not clear to me whether it was necessary or what it was trying to say. So I don't know if you were able to get some clarification, superintendent, for us as to what that means, or if there's a need to revise it. So the way it reads right now, for those who do not have the policy in front of you, says all new construction of public school building within the Central Falls School District open to the public commenced after July 1st, 2021, and all renovations and replacements of a value in excess of 50% of existing public school buildings within the Central Falls School District open to the public commenced after January 1st, 2022, with at least 2 single-use toilet facilities shall provide a minimum of 1 toilet facility available for the persons of any gender. So it wasn't clear where the higher standard was and the need for that, or whether just having A, which says that there will be at least 1. And this is passing, it says after January 1st of 2022 is enough. So that was sort of my question. Go ahead, if you have.
Additional people that I asked to read it agreed with you, Vice Chair Grace, that did seem redundant with A.
Okay,
The one thing I would just want to make sure everyone's clear on is that we don't have the capability to do this right now in all 6 schools. So even though we definitely have it in place at the high school, and some students are painting incredible murals in that gender inclusive restroom, until there was more construction, we would not be able to implement this across all 6 schools.
and with C, cover that.
Yes.
So C says a school may apply for a waiver to the Central Falls School Board of Trustees for a waiver. Okay. Does this make sense to the board? I want to make sure that everyone understands what we're trying to change here. And then my other question would be, so it wouldn't start until January 1st of 2022, because that's the date on A, or should it say July 1st of 2021? Which is when we want this policy to, at a minimum, to start.
The way that I read that, it would actually go into effect as of today when you vote, but it's only construction after January. Although,
It says that exists. So you're okay with it? It says that it's effective today, even though it says January 1st of
January 1st,
2022.
however the board prefers, we can also change that to July 1st if that seems more clear. Although we don't have any construction that would fall into that category, I think it would be more clear probably if we just did that.
Okay, so then those are two motions, two amendments that we would need to make to this policy. I would need somebody to move those amendments. So the first one would be to switch in paragraph A, the date from January 1st, 2020 to July 1st, 2021. Superintendent should say 2021. You moved each. And then the second would be to strike paragraph B. So why don't we do a motion with both amendments in one, if that is okay with the board.
So moved as
Okay.
presented.
So moved by Andrew Bramson. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so let's vote on the amendment. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Linda, Lisa, you still on or you're off? So Linda Lisa is not voting. She is not on the meeting, so please let the record show that. And any opposed? I'm also an aye. So it does pass because we have quorum. So now we need to vote on the policy as amended. So a motion to approve the policy as amended, please.
So moved.
Moved by Andrew
Second.
and seconded by Brian Estrada. Questions, concerns, discussions around the policy? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ugo, I did not hear you. Are you an aye?
Yes, I did. say,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm also an aye, so the policy passes. The motion stands. Thank you very much for everyone for doing this work, for bringing this up to us. This is absolutely the kind of changes that we want to be doing in all our buildings. So it would be interesting to see how this progresses and how quickly we can move all of our buildings forward to be more inclusive of all of our populations. So thank you for that. Maybe we can bring this up at another point for discussion and review. Okay, next item, it is new business. So we have three things under new business, item six, that are all, that I'm gonna ask the board to table each one of them. There's still some work. We were trying to get them all ready for our consideration tonight. There's still some work to be done, but I would like us to table each one. So I will go one by one and ask for a motion to table, a second, and then a vote, and then we can go on. Is that all right? Okay, so new business, item A, Cleaning Services RFP Award. Need a motion to table.
Motion to table.
Is there a
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Andrew Branson, second by Brian Estrada. Questions?
Just a question, Vice Chair, as by virtue of us tabling this, does this become old business at an upcoming meeting, or does it still come back next month as new business?
I think it's still new business, or maybe even old business, because we didn't really consider it. I don't know. We'll find out. Good question.
It'll be new old business. I think we just got
Newsflash, I think it becomes old. It's old business. It's old business once it gets heard. Once it's touched, it becomes old business, even if nothing has been done to it. So yeah, new business are the things that we have not seen touched or talked about at any point in the meeting. So that is the Cleaning Services RFP. Any questions? Any further questions? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Ugo, you're also an aye? You're nodding. Okay. I'm also an aye, so the motion carries. Item B, the Central Falls Teachers Union's collective bargaining agreement, a motion to table.
Motion to table.
Is there a second?
Second,
Motion by Brian Estrada, second by Ugo Figueroa. Questions? Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I,
I'm also an aye. Motion carries. And then item C, superintendent's contract, motion to table.
motion to table.
Second.
Motion by Figueroa, seconded by Brent Estrada. Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I'm also an aye. So the motion carries. Okay.
I
Public
do,
comment. Go ahead.
just one question. So the what we just tabled, will that be moved to our June meeting, or will we need to have
Correct.
a meeting between the two? June meeting.
In June. We're hope, yes, it should be resolved by the June meeting. We don't see a need to have an earlier meeting. All the things that both three will be able to be heard at the end of June, which is when we meet again.
I wasn't sure if there was anything that was like time sensitive. That's why I asked.
No, we would like to have done them today, and that's why they were on the agenda. But unfortunately, we weren't able to do it, and I think it works to keep them until the end of June. Again, if something happens, we'll reach out to you, but at this point, we don't believe that we will have to. Superintendent, go ahead.
I just wanted to note that I wonder if we could consider for the cleaning service RFP that new contract. It would be a multi-year contract, and the new contract would begin July 1, which would be less than a week after the next board meeting. So if the board is comfortable, I wonder if there's any way to discuss me making a recommendation. I'm not sure. I'm really-
We could do a special meeting at any point, and think we can talk offline and see what the availability is and the timeline for the team that's reviewing the RFP to have that answer. And if we need to have a special meeting and the board is available, we have quorum, sure. I think we can consider that. We'll only need 4 of us. So let's talk offline. Okay. All right, public comment. If you would like to speak and provide comments to the board, please write your name on the chat and we will call you in the order that you put your name. And I'll see if anything. I'll repeat. If you are watching the meeting and you'd like to provide comments to the board, please write your name on the chat. Chat is on for everyone. Give it a few more seconds. I do not see anyone's name. Okay, I don't think we have anyone wants to speak in public comment. Provide public comment. So we'll move on. Superintendent's comment. Actually, let's do the vote. And then you can speak if that is okay. So we're going to go back without objection of the board. We'll go back to item 3, consideration of personnel actions, including new appointments, layoffs, rescissions, resignations, recalls, and retirement. So we do not need to vote on any of these items with the exception of the layoffs that we need to do. So what we would like us to consider is a motion to approve the layoff. And I'll pull up the name again. So give me just a second.
It's Joan Morse.
Okay. So I would need, I would entertain a motion to approve the layoff of Joan Morse, the position of temporary teacher grade 2 at Veterans Elementary School.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Brent Estrada, seconded by Andrew Branson. Any questions, comments, discussions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you very much, everyone. All right, now we go back to the agenda. Superintendent, the floor is yours.
Great. So tonight I'm excited to share some updates on the class of 2021 and want to thank the College Advisory Corps, especially Sarah Gilkinson, who put together the data that I'm going to share with you. So, one thing we wanted to elevate is that if you look at any sort of statewide data on FAFSA completion, it doesn't tell the whole story. So we often look as though our completion rate is a lot lower than it actually is, because not every student is counted in the same way. So I appreciate that the team at the high school broke it down and actually unpacked to show that we actually are almost at 50% of our seniors having completed the FAFSA. So that's really a lot of progress. Here is a summary of those students who have shared. There's probably a lot more, not everyone has shared, but of the students who have applied to different schools, been accepted, and then those who have decided to attend. And so you'll see a great cross-section of schools in Rhode Island, some in Massachusetts, and then even beyond. This is just a slide to summarize and share that we've also worked really hard to create as many opportunities for students and support students in applying for different scholarships. And so over $200,000 in scholarships and grants have been awarded to the class of 2021 at the high school. And now we want you to hear from some of these students.
Hello, I am Katarina and I will be going to Rhode Island College next year to study business.
Hello, my name is Esmeralda Flores, and I applied to 10 schools, and I decided on URI, and I'm going to major in elementary education.
Hope to get her back in the district after she does that.
Hello, I am Katarina, and I will be going to Rhode Island College next.
Make sure we advance here. 2 more videos.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Ramos, and I applied to go to Rick, and I can't wait because I want to see what I can do there and be able to major in the medical field or human service, because that's one thing, those are both what I'm passionate about. And I just can't wait to see what else I can explore and what else that can help me open my doors for the future.
And this last video gives you also just a little flavor of how passionate our college advising corps team is in supporting our students.
Hello, CAC. I'm Sarah. I'm an advisor from the Rhode Island College Advising Corps.
Hi, and I'm Simone, also an advisor.
So today I'm actually picking up a student. He was too nervous to look at his acceptance package that came in the mail, so he just gave it to me. But we're gonna go pick him up right now at Central Falls, and then we're gonna show him that he got in. Yeah, don't let him fool you.
Thank you again to Sarah for all her work and everyone at the high school who supports all of our students towards these exciting transitions and opportunities.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Ramos, and I applied to go to Rick.
The videos are so good. They just want to keep playing. Let's see if there we go. And then also thinking about the class already of 2022, our Anchors to Success program is that partnership that we have with Rick, where juniors can be conditionally accepted if they meet these criteria. And I'm thrilled to share that we will be celebrating and giving these conditional acceptance letters in the next few weeks. So we will let everyone know when that's happening. It's always a wonderful celebration. So still TBD whether we're going to do this on the 4th or the 11th. Okay, transitioning to other exciting student learning updates. We now have 82% of our students back in person, and that has just been a labor of love of every single one of the 500 employees of the district and families for trusting us. And so we're just so thrilled to have every school bustling with learning, and it's been just such a joy to have everyone back. We do still have 18% of our students who are distance learning, and we'll see that through for the rest of the year, and that was a family choice. We are seeing incredible growth in the literacy that's happening now that students are back in person. So we have gone from, if you think back to March 2nd, when we, which is sort of a marker just after the February break, when we brought a lot of kids back in person, we have gone from 13% of our K-5 readers being on grade level or proficient to now 31%. And we've also been able to reduce the students who are reading at emergency levels, which is 2 or more grade levels behind, from 60% back in March to now 46. We have big ambitious goals for where we can go in the next 4 weeks by the end of the school year, but also just giving the students just the support that they need, and talking to families about the opportunities that can continue through the summer to just give kids as many opportunities as they can to have more opportunities to learn. I'm trying to intentionally avoid that learning loss term, because there's obviously so many factors that contributed in the last year. But we are seeing incredible growth, and want to thank, we brought back a few retirees from Team CFSD who have been reading with a lot of our students who are at those emergency levels, as well as partnered with multiple colleges to build out our Reading Warriors program. And so we actually have a team of about 20 people now who are supporting students and partnering with teachers to provide more opportunities for that one-on-one reading practice. So the topic that was mentioned earlier with dollar figures that we never thought would be real when the board tasked us pre-COVID with making a dream budget. And somehow we have found ourselves here with more funds than even were put into that dream budget. So this is a very unique, probably once in a lifetime opportunity to take very short-term funds to make investments that can hopefully yield really long-term benefits and improvements for the students of Central Falls. So board member Bramson asked earlier, like, what are the categories? So there is so much information out there, and so we're trying to distill it. There are federal guidelines, and then RIDE has worked to create their own guidelines within. And RIDE has really, from a programmatic perspective, broken it down into these 4 buckets: academic acceleration and social emotional wellness during school, and then academic acceleration and social emotional wellness after school and in the summer. Currently, RIDE is asking that 25% of funds be put into summer. That's a lot of resources for us. And so we are working with them on how flexible that may be. So Carrie referenced earlier, across ESSER 2 and 3, we're talking about $21 million. And so just to give it a comparison, we typically spend less than 100,000 in a summer. Now, obviously, we're not offering everything that we ever had dreamed of, but to go from 100,000 to 5 million is also not likely, especially this summer when families are telling us that kids are burnt out and a lot of teachers are saying, I love my job, but I too need a break. So we're working on some creative partnerships so that students who want those opportunities have them, but also see next summer as a real opportunity to do some innovative things with a significant budget. So as I was referencing before, 25% is encouraged. Still unclear whether it's required or strongly encouraged to be on summer. We are currently planning to set aside 10% for projects that are really community driven and informed. And then 10% for district-wide initiatives, but keeping the largest amount, 80% in total across school year and summer, to go directly to our schools. Now, we're really excited that we want to use a weighted student formula. I referenced this at the last board meeting, and we've done quite a bit of work since, so that the dollars are equitably distributed, not just based on number of students, but of the needs of those students. So if we take the pot of money, the 80% of those ESSER funds, and divide it up, we want to make sure, so we've actually created not just the total number of students in Central Falls, but a number much bigger, because if you are a student who is multilingual, we're going to count you at a higher weight. And if you have an IEP, a higher weight. And if you are dually classified, an even higher weight, such that then we can determine how to distribute those funds. So we've been working with the principals right now and shared with them some preliminary estimates of what amounts those would be based on current student enrollment, knowing, of course, that next year some of that may change slightly. But the application for ESSER 2, which is the 6 million, is actually due July 1st. So by the next board meeting, we will be presenting you with a proposal for how we use that 6 million. And RIDE has put together some really helpful slides, one that I've pasted here, a visual of how the Education Accountability Act would play out in a situation like this. So ensuring that that school improvement team, or we often refer to as school-based team, which is inclusive not just of teachers and staff in the school, but community members, families, students, that whole team is working collaboratively to make a budget. And so we're just thrilled that each school has a significant amount of money to determine, of those 4 categories that RIDE has outlined, what it looks like for each school. So there are certainly certain things we are trying to do with some coherence, but also leaving space for each school to determine how they can best meet the academic acceleration and the social emotional wellness of their students. And then principals will propose that to me, and I will propose it to you at the June meeting. Any questions so far on ESSER? We have also been working with many families to create what the families have actually named Voces de Poder. And I want to thank board member Colon, who came to the task force meeting last week, and before taking time off, board chair Gonzalez was also part of these meetings. And so basically we asked families to come up with their own name for the participatory budgeting process, because in all languages that is a mouthful and a tongue twister. And so Voces de Poder was what the families came up with. And we are mirroring the participatory budgeting class that currently exists as an elective at Central Falls High School, and working with the same participatory budgeting expert, Pam Jennings, who designed and co-taught that course, to create a process for a parent college class that we are going to invite families and students to participate in this summer. It's going to meet twice a week, and we are going to provide a stipend for those students and families who choose to go through this parent college participatory budgeting class. And we will present through that class an essential question. We're playing around with it, but right now the current brainstorming, and this was informed by parents and students, is how can the district support your family to improve your child's attendance? And then they will come up with proposals that will get, of course, vetted, and then have a true vote where any parent of a student in the district and some of our older students can vote on what project the district should fund to support families. Then all of the graduates of this parent college course will become ambassadors that will go back to those school-based teams and inform processes, similar processes to happen in each school with the ESSER 3 funds as well. So we are really excited and grateful.
Estamos muito animados aqui em grade.
Incredible students who have been informing the process, who went through the elective and are now helping us design this participatory budgeting opportunity for the community at large. Any questions on that? And then just want to celebrate so much exciting work happening across all of our schools, but wanted to give a special shout out. Veterans was just awarded a grant to implement coding as another language, a Cal grant. And so, we often think of foreign language with more spoken language, but we're pretty excited that
Muito animado.
taking on coding as an additional language for its students. Elarisk created a really exciting family literacy event called Shine a Light on Literacy. And you can see the students there holding up their lanterns. And it was part of a month-wide focus on literacy, bridging literacy at home and at school. And Captain Hunt had a literacy event there, and you can see the wonderful Marissa Mancini, one of our librarians, dressed up as Pete the Cat, bringing so much joy to our youngest emerging readers there. So just want to thank the entire team, every person in the district, for the passion that they bring to our students and their education. And that concludes the superintendent's update.
Andrew.
Superintendent, all the way back at the beginning, regarding the RIC college enrollees or acceptances, do you know how many of those students that were accepted to RIC as seniors were identified as anchors to success as juniors?
So on the slide, and I'm gonna see if either of our high school principal or AP texts me in the next few minutes to tell me if I'm saying this wrong, but my understanding is that all 73, but I could be wrong, applicants were awarded that early acceptance through Anchors to Success as juniors. But if that is incorrect, I will follow up with all of you with the breakdown of the 73 applicants, how many of them were Anchors to Success and how many decided, even though they weren't conditionally accepted, to apply as seniors. And I'm being told that is highly likely from Assistant Principal Hill.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else? I'm gonna go back to that as well. So I know this has been a difficult year, but do we have any comparisons? Like what, given everything that we've gone through, where are we in comparison to other years? And what metrics are we setting for next year? What goals?
That's actually something I have been thinking about too after this presentation was shared with me. So we don't have a ton of historical data in this way. So I think collaboratively, our team needs to set some internal goals and metrics that we're going to look at year after year to understand how we're progressing and different trends. But that is not a data set that we have right now.
Thank you. And to the point of the ESSER, so the process you described is happening right now. So in June, you'll come to us with a proposed budget that we will approve, or will just be informational?
You would approve. It will also then go to RIDE. So no funds are distributed until it goes through a RIDE review. And so we have to submit our ESSER 2 proposal, so the 6 million, by July 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll be interesting. Okay, thank you. Hugo.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. What's the percentage of students that have been accepted to colleges?
So that is certainly something that we want to have more comprehensive data on. Right now, it relies on students telling their guidance counselor. So I asked a very similar question of like, does this mean we have just about 40 kids going to college? And the high school team said they believe it's higher, but we don't yet have a process to gather that information. We are doing a lot of thinking around the role of the guidance team at the high school, and even currently are interviewing for a slightly modified role that we're referring to as the Director of Progressive Pathways. Some of you might remember Dr. Heather Dos Santos was in a similar role until a few years ago. And so we've rethought that role. And I think the person who we ultimately hire will own establishing some goals and metrics and systems for ensuring that we have that information.
All right, thank you.
And we don't have advisories or advisors.
We do have advisors.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah. So I know we transitioned, and I think you said, was it 82% of our students are in person now?
Yeah.
Okay. My question about, so first off, that's awesome. But my question about that is, do we have any data related to attendance by any chance? Like, I know 82% are in person or signed up as in person, and then like there's also that 18% that's distance. But what does that look like in regards to like attendance right now? And if you don't have that now and then like can have it for June, like that's cool too. It's a question that I have. Yeah.
No, that's a great question. We didn't pull it in for today, but can certainly give you an analysis for the whole school year. We could do a summative analysis of the attendance at the June meeting. Make a note of that.
Thank you.
Anyone? Oh, sorry.
It's
Go
okay.
ahead, and
Superintendent, can I ask that both in your efforts as well as through your participatory budgeting efforts, that you give consideration to providing students stipends when it comes to participating in these after school and enrichment courses? This happened at RIDE last summer. They're not doing it again this summer. It's very disappointing. It was very successful last summer. And, you know, it's one, you know, we know that students in Central Falls are working, and if they have to choose between working and taking these either high dose tutoring programs or enrichment programs, it's not a fair choice to throw all of these programs out there if only those students who don't have work responsibilities. And so you're gonna have a, you know, you're gonna have a challenge with RIDE on this, but push hard and talk about this at a participatory budgeting session, because I think that post-pandemic, the notion of paying students to do this we should normalize that. And I think that this is an opportunity to sort of engage in that.
Thank you. We totally agree.
Any final thoughts, questions? I think on C, you had listed the Office of Civil Rights Completed Monitoring on the agenda.
Yes.
Could you just mention that?
Yes, thank you. I was looking at the agenda and realized I didn't put a slide in, but exciting news. We just closed out an issue with the Office of Civil Rights that had been in place since 2011 on behalf of multilingual learners. And we, I could provide a whole lot of commentary on how it goes that long without closure or some other action, but that's what it was. And so I was given the opportunity to defend the actions that we have put in place to the Office of Civil Rights. Want to really thank Dr. Sergio Paez and Assistant Superintendent Ann Lynch, who collaborated with me on that. And the Office of Civil Rights applauded all of the work that we are doing and closed out that complaint after 10 years.
Well done. Well done. I remember that coming through. I don't know what that says about it, but okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Next item is board comment. And for the board, I know we used to just have it board comment and just allow people to speak. We have had some conversations with our attorneys and some guidance from the Attorney General's office that we need to be much more direct in what that section says, partly because we need to give the public an opportunity to decide whether they want to attend the meeting given what is on the agenda. And board comments were too general, and it didn't meet that threshold. Also, you'll see in the superintendent comments as she listed the 3 things she was going to talk about, so that anyone out there who sees the agenda knows exactly what was going to happen. So some of the conversations we figure out of what usually happens at the board comments are usually announcements that we make, or we give little shout outs, congratulations to community members for work done. So that's sort of what we need to limit board comments to. If you believe that you're going to have something that you want to speak at, please let myself or Stephanie Gonzalez, the superintendent, know so that we are able to add it to the agenda in plenty of time before it gets posted. So as you know, we get our agenda by Monday. So if we could do that at the latest Monday morning, it can get added to the agenda, and then we meet open meeting law requirements. So if anyone has any announcements or any congratulations or anything that you'd like to speak, this is your time to do so. If not, we'll bring you back up at the next time. And I hear none, so we'll move on. Oh, you do? All right, go.
Yeah. Why not, right? So 2 congratulations. One to our seniors who are going to be graduating fairly soon. You know, you've worked so hard these past 4 years. I know this past year and half of last year has been a mess. So congratulations to you all for that final push. Finish strong. And then next to, and I feel like I'm going to have to give this congratulations next month, but teachers, you've worked hard as well. Final push, about a month.
Yeah.
We got this.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Okay. We are going into executive session. So I would need somebody to read the full language of the executive session in motion. We are not coming back well, we're going to come back to public, but we are not taking any votes during the executive session. So if those of you who want to go home and hang out with your families, nothing exciting is going to happen. Our next board meeting will be June 24th. So we move this one to the end of the month. We'll move the second one as well. The meeting will also be virtual as we are doing it. We intend to review how we have our meetings and possibly come back to in-person meetings when school starts again in September. So for the next one, the summer will stay as we are and just maintain the standard that we have. So if somebody could read the language, and we'll go into executive session. Superintendent, do we have a link for executive session?
It should be at the top of your inbox.
Okay, thank you. Andrew.
I'll make the motion. So motion to go into executive session under Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A1 and 2, discussion of job performance, character, or physical or mental health, collective bargaining, litigation, legal advice, teacher discipline hearing, and to discuss certain matters that are the subject of collective bargaining and litigation, and to conduct work sessions pertaining to collective bargaining and litigation.
Is there a second? Consent.
Second.
All right. Motion by Andrew Branson, second by Brian Estrada. I'll do roll call vote. Andrew Branson,
Yes.
Brian Estrada,
Yes.
Hugo Figueroa.
Yes.
Okay, so we are now going into executive session. This meeting will stay open for anyone who wants to
Okay.
stay.
Can you please, before, I don't know, so can you send me the link again?
It's in your email right now.
Yeah, I saw it, but it disappeared. I don't know, something happened.
Okay. And then we will return back to this just to close out the meeting. But we will, like, as I said, we will not be taking any votes. There will be no announcements afterwards. Okay, so I'm leaving, going to the next one. Hello, hello, we're back. Do we still have any else? Oh, we need to bring Ugo. Oops. Are you able to do that, Superintendent?
I am not. Michael, are you there?
Yeah, he's still there. Hopefully. Let me turn on my light. It's not dark.
Michael, he's actually in the attendees.
Yeah, thank you.
I think he's going from Millie's email.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Okay, all right. And we're all back. Let's give Ugo another second. Okay, all right, so I would now entertain a motion to seal the minutes of the executive session.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all right, I heard a second from Brian Estrada and a motion by Andrew Bramson. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, I'm an aye as well. So the minutes are sealed, and now we get to go home, so I need a motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
So fast, okay. I heard Brian.
Sorry,
Ugo Figueroa. A second?
Brandon.
You second, okay. All right, we are adjourned at 7:49 PM. Thank you to our interpreters.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you to our interpreters for staying. Thank you, Patricia Martinez, for staying this late. Superintendent Downey Floyd, thank you for your time and for the work you've done for this meeting and for staying. And I'll see you all next month. And let's figure out if we do need a meeting in the interim. Thank you, guys. Have a good
Bye.
week. Enjoy the long
Take care.
weekend.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
There.